In addition to powerful neural networks, trading solutions includes the ability to use rule-based entry-exit systems. It includes several basic entry-exit systems that allow you to test simple approaches to using common indicators. For example, the moving average system enters the market when a short-term moving average crosses a long-term moving average. These simple systems are based on a single rule, and they work well in some market conditions. However, they often don't work in all cases. You can write your own entry-exit systems and trading solutions by pressing Define Entry-Exit Systems like I did here. As with functions, entry-exit systems and trading solutions are split into groups so you can identify them by theme. In this case, let's create a new group so we can identify our own systems from among those included in trading solutions. So I'm going to press New, use the default name of my entry-exit systems. Now let's write our entry-exit system. Let's base our new system on the moving average system mentioned before, but let's extend it to exit any trade that loses more than a certain percentage of its value. So I press New, and I'm going to call this new system MA system with stop on loss. Since we want to extend the functionality of another entry-exit system, let's start by copying that system. Press Copy Another Entry-Exit System, and select the moving average system. This will copy both the rules and the notes and descriptions associated with this system. And here you can see it copied the description. Now we can work with the rules themselves. Before we extend the functionality, let's see how the current system works. Under the Enter Long tab, we can see that the system enters long or buys the stock when a moving average with a short period crosses above a moving average with a long period. Cross above, moving average short, moving average long. Under the Enter Short tab, we can see that it enters short or makes money on a decline in the market when the short period crosses below the long period. Under the Exit tabs, we can see that there are no times where it completely exits the market. In other words, once it enters the market, it's always either long or short. Now let's add rules so that we exit the market if the current trade is losing money. To do this, let's add the predefined entry-exit system rule called exit on percent loss. So I'm going to add a rule. I'm going to select from the entry-exit functions the rule exit on percent loss. This rule requires the open price, the close price, percent loss for exit, and whether this is being used for a short or a long exit. The first three of these values will need to be provided when the system is applied to any stock. So let's create inputs for each of them. I'm going to create a new input for the open and say OK. I now got an input where the user can specify the opening price. For the close input, we may or may not want this to be the same as the data input. For example, we will probably typically want to watch the moving averages in the closing price with this system. However, we may also want to analyze other values. Because of this, it might be a good idea to keep these inputs separate at this time. So I'm going to do this again. For the close, I'm going to create a new input, leave the default name, and now we have a close. Percent loss for exit can also be made an input. Since this value will typically be a number, it is defined by default to be optimized with the moving average lengths that are optimized when the system is applied. In this case, values from 0 to 100% for the percent will be considered. Finally, since we're using this function for an exit long rule, we want to set for short exit to be 0 or false. This is a constant value that won't change over time, so we're going to specify it as a numeric constant. 0, insert. Now that we have our exit long rule, let's create a similar exit short rule. We follow the exact same steps here that we did for the exit long rule, except we set for short exit to something other than 0. Also, we do not need to create new inputs for the needed values since we've already created them. So here I'm going to change to exit short, add a rule, and again select the exit on percent loss, insert that into the formula, and now I'm going to reuse these inputs. So I'm going to insert the open, the close, and the percent loss for exit into the system. Now for the numeric constant, I'm going to set that to 1 instead of 0, saying this is true, this is for a short exit. And there I'm done. Now one more thing to note about this is that we could actually use two different percent loss values for exiting long and exiting short. Prices often move faster in one direction than another, so setting unique percentages could yield better results. To do this, we would simply create a new input for the percent loss and give it a different name, such as percent loss for short exit. Now, to make this system more usable, we may want to rearrange these inputs to be in more logical order. For example, we could group the data fields together and the optimizable fields together. So for instance, I could put the open and the close up here simply by dragging them. Since we included notes before, when we copied the system, they're going to be here. And at some point, we may want to come back and update them so it has the correct parameter list and everything else. But for now, I think it's fine. And now we have our system. We can use this entry exit system the same way as any other system by adding it as a new field. By default, Trading Solutions will optimize the lengths of the moving averages and the percent loss to exit automatically.